All right, we're all set.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. It's 5:55. We have a few people that are missing. Melissa Smith, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So
Sorry, I.
Oh, sorry. You know, this is.
Oh.
So that's good. So we'll call it to order and then maybe if we could go ahead and do the roll call at this time. Then.
Smith,
Here.
Jorgensen,
Here.
Butera,
Here.
Spinizzola,
Here.
Baluch, Okay.
Absent.
Swanson and Scriddler are not present also.
So we do have our quorum, and so I guess our first order of business is the approval of the meetings. Has everybody had their packets previously? At least they had an opportunity to look at them. Maybe not. So is there any corrections, additions, modifications? As far as the. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, is there a motion to go ahead and approve the minutes from the June 11th, or excuse me, the August 13th meeting?
I raised the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. And then is there any corrections, additions, modifications that need to be made to this?
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Melissa.
Melissa, thank you.
And everybody's had a chance to at least have an opportunity to have them or sent to them. So if we can go ahead and call a vote, Ms. Garza.
Jorgensen,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Butera,
Yes.
Spinizzola.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right, so the minutes are approved. Then our new order of business. Is there any, we were talking before, Mr. Kalinkas, about if somebody was going to be here to make any further presentation or.
Yes,
Jackie was
Jackie
going to do
Mitch
that.
is our zoning administrator, zoning consultant from Vanderwall and Associates, so she'll be able to speak to any updates from the last.
Okay, from the last time that we talked. Well, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Jackie. If you want to go ahead and just kind of update a little bit.
I will be
Actually,
happy to.
Sorry, Jackie, really quick. I'm sorry, I interrupt. This is a public hearing on this. I have something especially want to do for that.
Yeah, let's, we should swear her in.
Yeah, this is the formal public hearing for this.
Jackie, can you raise your right hand? You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. State your name and address for the record.
I'm Jackie Mish, 1556 North 48th Street in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Thank you.
All right. So good evening, everyone. As Village Administrator noted, my name is Jackie Mish. I'm a planning consultant for the village. And tonight is the public hearing for our Main Street zoning districts. The slides I will present this evening are in your meeting packet, as well as proposed zoning text that is on the agenda for this evening. I'm going to move through these slides pretty quickly because I believe everyone here has had an opportunity to look them over and possibly even heard my previous presentation at the open house on this topic. If I am going too fast, just let me know. I'd be happy to slow it down. Just a moment, get my screen in order here. And I will begin. So just as a reminder, this is an initiative that came out of the village's blueprint plan for Main Street. This is a plan that prepared recommendations for creating a vibrant downtown in the village of Roscoe, focused along Main Street. That plan had numerous recommendations. A few of those recommendations included potential new zoning districts for the Main Street area. And the idea there was to allow for a greater mix of uses and promote more downtown style development that would create, as I said before, a more active, more vibrant, more exciting downtown destination that people would like to go to. That plan envisioned basically two different zoning districts. One would be the core, the Main Street core district, that is shown in magenta on this illustration here. That district is envisioned as a more kind of the core Main Street district, more intensely developed downtown style district, mix of uses, and really a people-oriented gathering space. So very walkable, very exciting place to be. The Main Street Edge district, which is shown in orange on this slide, is envisioned as a transition zone between the more intensely developed core and the surrounding residential neighborhoods. This district is more residential in character. So starting from that plan concept, we focused our efforts on rezoning the intersections where we feel the market is strongest for mixed use development right now. And so that is, you can see on our map, that's focused on the intersection of Main and roughly Hodges Run on the north side, and then Main and Bridge Street on the south side. This gives us an opportunity to use these new districts, something as a pilot project, to make sure that we have all the rules in place that we like and encourage downtown style redevelopment and reinvestment within these areas. Additionally, my feeling is that if there are property owners along this corridor that are not in these two areas, they could approach the village with a request to rezone to one of these new zoning districts if they had plans that align with the village's vision. So just another slide illustrating those two locations. So just briefly, both of these two zoning districts allow for a range of different land uses. Both of them allow for mixed use buildings. So that would be a building that contains both residential and non-residential uses. Typically, we'd see retail or similar types of uses on the ground floor with residential above, but it could be combinations of other uses as well. Both districts allow for multifamily, so exclusively residential development, townhomes, and then the Main Street, both of them also allow for accessory dwelling units, which I will touch on toward the end of this presentation. And then the Main Street Edge also allows for a few other residential formats as well, including cottage court and two-family. So just a quick example of what, when I said mixed-use building, this is sort of what we're looking at. You can see in this example from Middleton, Wisconsin, retail and office and service type uses on the ground floor, and then residential typically on the upper floors. The photo on the left here is another mixed-use building. This one has nice balconies on the upper levels. And the photo on the right is an exclusively residential or a multifamily building. All of these are formats that we would encourage in the two new districts. These two images are depicting townhomes, so side-by-side units where you share a wall with your neighbor, but not a roof or a floor. Two different formats here. And then this image illustrates a cottage court development, which is a single family, groups of single family homes planned around a shared central green space. Non-residential uses are also allowed and encouraged within the Main Street districts. As you can see on the slide, both of the districts accommodate restaurant, retail, salon, barber, bars, offices, and accessory commercial units. In the meeting packet, you'll see the full list of uses that are encouraged, permitted by special use in the two districts. So I made a reference before to downtown buildings. So here are just a few examples of downtown buildings that you currently have here in Roscoe. This is the type of development we want to continue to encourage in the districts. As you can see in the images here, these buildings have little to no setbacks, so they're built right up to the sidewalk in many cases. But they're not just a blank box sitting on the sidewalk, but rather they have many interesting architectural features, particularly on that ground floor where people are going to be walking by. And so it really makes a more interesting urban environment. So just in these photos, you can see windows on the ground floor that allows you to see what's going on with what the business is inside, awnings that are framing the building, but then also providing shade for people walking by. Many interesting architectural details, both on the ground floor and above, interesting roof lines. And in a few cases, we see recessed entrances that draw people in to the business. So these are qualities we're looking for in new development as well. Just some more examples. These are not in Roscoe, but desirable types of downtown buildings. These are 2-story examples. And then here's the Middleton example. This one includes 3- and 4-story examples of desirable development for the downtown. The district does, both districts do regulate height. In our core district, that's the main district along Main Street, we actually have a minimum of 2-story development because we do want to see increased investment in the community and create that downtown character. And then a maximum height of 4 stories, where for those taller buildings, we are requiring the upper stories to be stepped back from the street, as you can see in this illustration, which reduces the apparent height of the building. So it kind of softens the transition as we add taller buildings in Main Street. In the Edge District, which is that transition district, we're looking at a maximum of 3 stories. And then both districts allow for greater lot coverage. So the percent of the building that can cover the lot. In terms of setbacks, this is very similar to what I described before. We're allowing buildings to come right up to the street in the core district, and they were actually requiring them to be built within 15 feet of that front lot line. So we don't want to see suburban style buildings with a parking lot in front and a building way in back. We want to see those buildings come right up to the sidewalk and create that dynamic environment. In the Main Street Edge District, we do want to see a setback of at least 5 feet, but we're also requiring those buildings to be closer to within 15 feet of the front lot line as well. We also want, as I mentioned before, we don't want to see big blank boxes in these new districts. We want to see attractive buildings. And one way to accomplish that is to have built-in design standards for these zoning districts. So in the Main Street core, we have requirements for windows and doors on the ground floor and above to ensure kind of dynamic, interesting buildings. We don't want to see flat and unadorned walls, and we have language in the code that accomplishes that. And we do want to see all sides of the building to have at least 50% high quality building materials. Additionally, in our core district, we are requiring 50% ground level commercial space for development at the intersection of Main Street and Bridge Street. So that's a priority intersection in the village, and that's really an important area for us to see mixed use with commercial on the ground floor. Other areas of the Main Street corridor, we are definitely going to be more flexible about that, but we see that intersection as a priority area for that walkable mixed use character. Finally, we're ensuring there's pedestrian access to all of these buildings, and where possible, we want to see those primary entrances oriented to Main Street or Bridge Street, or the primary business street that they're located on. In the Edge District, which is again our transitional district, similar design standards, no flat unadorned walls. We want to see those high quality building materials, a clearly defined entrance. And if there's residential uses, we want to see the garage at the rear or the side rather than the front of the building. And then we want to see a stoop or a porch or something on the front that engages with the sidewalk. This is one change that we did make since the last time I presented on this topic, and that's the issue of the question of parking. I think our original draft contemplated some amount of parking requirements for non-residential uses and no parking requirements for for residential development. But we talked about that further at a staff level and determined that it would be important to have some amount of parking requirements for new residential, especially if we're going to be seeing 3 to 4 story buildings in some cases. And so what we did was looked at national studies for parking standards, as well as what other communities are doing that we're working in, and are proposing these parking standards, which are lower than what the village requires in other parts of the community, but does provide for 1 to 2 parking spaces for each residential unit to ensure that there is off-street parking provided. We're also allowing for businesses and residences to count some of the on-street parking spaces within 50 feet of their main entrance toward those parking requirements, acknowledging that on-street parking, is a big component of any healthy downtown. The code includes landscaping standards to ensure attractive facades. These are based on the requirements you have elsewhere in the village, but they're tailored more to a downtown context. And then we have requirements for high quality materials. I mentioned that before, but there's a list of desirable materials on the slide here, such as brick, stone, and stucco. And then there's a fair amount of flexibility for staff to interpret high quality materials as developers propose them to ensure that we've got attractive buildings here that meet our expectations for what we want to see downtown. And then just something that's new that I wanted to make sure you were aware of is there are 2 new land uses included in both of these districts. One is the accessory dwelling unit, or ADU. You may have heard about this use in other places, but basically it's a small home or dwelling unit that's located on the same lot as a single family or 2-family home. It's either it can be attached to that home or it can be a freestanding building. And so this is something that's permitted in both of the new districts. And then similarly, we have an accessory commercial unit. This is a little less common, but you definitely see these. The interest in these is growing, and it's basically the same as an accessory dwelling unit, except for its commercial use. So these are really great for startup type businesses, pop-up shops, small businesses, community services can go in here. And they're designed to kind of complement the main use of the property and basically be a little startup space for a new business until they can get their footing. We do have standards for both the ADUs and ACUs in the code, just to ensure that the design is attractive and that they complement the primary building, similar to the standards that we have for principal buildings as well. And then you'll see references in the code to pre-approved plans. So this is something that's to be developed in the future. We have not prepared these, but the idea would be there could be pre-approved building plans for example, ADUs and ACUs that the village would have on file, and that would really streamline the building process for property owners. Since the plan was already approved, their path to getting that building built would be much faster, and it would result in something that the village wants to see as well. So that's a future task, but just wanted to note that those are mentioned in the code while we wait to get those developed. And then my last slide here is just about next steps. So tonight we are doing the public hearing for the zoning text. Once we have the text established, I usually recommend that we approve that map separately. And so that's what I'm advising, that we approve that text tonight, make any changes, make sure we get everything just the way we want it. And at a subsequent ZBA meeting, we will approve the map just so that we make sure we have it just right. Following approval of the zoning text and the zoning map, both will go to the village board for a final adoption. I will pause it there and I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, at this point, I mean, we had a very lengthy discussion the last time when we went through all of this. Is now an opportunity for us to, there is nobody here as far as the public to make any comments, but can we ask additional questions, Mr. Politis, as far as Mr. Green,
Yeah.
about this? Because I just had a couple things, but is there anybody else that wanted to? I can start, or anybody else want to start? Well, the one thing that I was looking at, and it's kind of just dawned on me a little bit about the accessory dwelling units. Is it going to be that these units, can there be dwelling units? Let's say someone had a business, and would they be able to have one of these accessory dwelling units attached to their business where they could maybe live in that residence as well as develop their building? Or is this accessory dwelling unit limited to just the single family or 2-family residence, and you're just going to allow commercial units to be accessory dwelling units? Does that make, do you know what I'm trying to say?
I think so. So the way it is, we have it drafted now is that the only uses that are eligible for one of these ADUs or ACUs would be a residential building. So a single family home or a two-family home, for example. And they would be, so you could live in your two-family home. And then you could have an accessory commercial use for your business, which would be this, the smaller unit that's accessory to the principal. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, what I was just worried, what I was trying to understand if it worked the reverse way, that you would have a business and then you would have an ADU where you would live in that as your, like a small residence that you would be able to live in.
Right. At this time, we do not allow for that. Right. In this
Yes.
draft, I should say.
All right, so you would just allow for like main unit, anything that would be commercial would be just a ACU to the larger residential unit, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the other one would just be, you would have a single family or two family, and you'd have like this little coach house or whatever you want. You can call it, or what you see, and then you could rent it out to someone.
Exactly.
Tiny homes, there you
Yeah,
go.
that's what a lot of people, a lot of communities actually define tiny home.
The other thing that I was. It's not that this isn't a good guy, I mean, I think it's a great concept, and I think it's a way to try to revitalize the Main Street and the corridor. I just have concerns, or not so much concerns, but just, how is this gonna happen? I'm sitting here and I'm looking out the front door. And I know this is a 20 to 30-year plan, it's not something that's gonna happen overnight. But I'm sitting here looking out the front door, the glass windows, and across the way from here is, I don't know, 6, 7 duplexes or whatever that run across there. And, they're there, but where are those, I mean, how is this gonna be developed? How is anybody gonna come in here, other than just coming in, buying it up, or the city buying it up, knocking everything down and just building new things, because there's not existing buildings that you'd be able to, refurbish, remodel, rejuvenate, or whatever. I mean, there's some, a little bit north of here on the, I believe it would be the east side of the street, some homes and different things. But there's such a mix of types of buildings that are along this corridor, that how would you anticipate that this would be put into play in some way?
Sure. So I agree. I think we are quite a long ways from where the vision is as compared to where we are now. And I feel that the zoning is one important step to advancing the vision that the village has for the downtown area, but there's quite a bit of other things that need to be done. And one thing I like about the approach we're taking now is that we are concentrating our efforts to these key intersections. And so that these are the areas where we are focusing efforts and focusing investment. So with the idea that there would be some sort of hub or node created, rather than dispersing all the investment across the corridor. That being said, I know, and village administrator could probably speak to this a bit more, but I know that over the years, the village has received inquiries from property owners looking to do more density along the corridor. And so this is kind of an avenue to get those interested property owners or developers to a project that would be acceptable to the village. Other things that the village could be doing and perhaps is doing, but is, exploring public investment, in whether it's parking or the small business hub on the north side, or gathering spaces, things that show the private sector that the village is invested as well, as that gives developers confidence to invest in a community. So, there's many other pieces of the puzzle. This is definitely not a, if you build it, they will come situation. The zoning is a great piece to help streamline some of these approvals, but there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. And many of that is outlined in the blueprint plan by Place Foundry too.
Yeah, this is just this is just one step of the process that was outlined on there. And to address some of your questions, I mean, one of the issues we've had with the zoning too is like you said, the parking, right? The parking, the setbacks for this sort of core area. That's the questions we've had come in, and that has sort of limited some development we've had people come and ask about. Just because, I mean, supposedly it's a walking, eventually it'll be a walking, downtown district, or that's what the aim is to get to that point. We've had those issues where it's, okay, do you need to have our zoning code right now is built for, undeveloped, strip center type places where you've got large parking lot, very far setback buildings, and then that's where the retail would be. This allows a little bit different and allows that sort of more walking ability to do that. But yeah, this is the very first step in a very, very long process. And
Yeah.
we spent a lot of time working through the vision, and now it's trying to put these key bits in place and make it even possible to do.
Well, I understand that this is what you have to do to make it, to have a vision and to have a possibility to do that. But in developing the standards and the zoning requirements, if nobody is coming in here to really have confidence in the village, and to be able to start to develop and buy up the property and do what they need to do to get it moving, is this going to be a hindrance to the people that are already here? Because, I mean, quite honestly, some of these houses that are along the way, they're not kept up very well. I mean, these duplexes across the way, they're in good shape, but what's going to keep them from just sitting there and not doing anything with them? And down the road a little bit, because at this end, when you're talking about the south end, you have buildings that are there, you have something right at the corner, at the intersection, you got the new fire department, the new village hall, the new police department, everything, you got firehouse pump. I mean, all of that is really nice, but it's beyond that. It's what's after that, because there's not much.
So to give you some examples, so we've got, if you see like there's the insurance agency, you'll see some of those businesses down there where they've got a house that was converted, a large house converted into a business. Sort of the layouts and the designs of how those conversions have happened are because of our current zoning code. You'll see the large parking lots next to them. You'll see the setbacks, the way they've got you'll see this, it's the parking issues, the parking lots on there, and then even like the setbacks about how close they are to the road, where they have to be, where they can even expand to. We have had those, right? We've had those conversions come in, and it's because of our current zoning code and how it currently is, it sort of shaped how those looks of those conversions have been.
Right.
So this would, we had those requests from people. We get those requests from the owners of those properties when they came in and we want to do this, and we have to say, nope, you have to have this large setback, you have this large parking lot next to it, you've already had, whatever you're gonna do there, it has to meet our code for those. So that's I think those are good examples. If you should leave tonight, if you look at some of those converted houses that are now businesses. Yeah, they look nice, but they're sort of, they're a large parcel close to the road and a lot of parking, a lot of open area on there. And so this is designed to help allow those people to create a more density in their business.
Okay.
When we had a couple other ones too, where we've had the property owners come in and ask to do different projects very similar to these. That's how we sort of got to these. But we're like the accessory dwelling units or the accessory, the commercial business units. We've had requests for those, and right now we don't have a method really to approve those, besides going through a full PUD process for those. We had a development down on Grove, which is sort of the south end of the core area on the map. Unfortunately, it fell apart, and part of that was due to not being able to meet our current zoning codes. And they came in for a full PUD with a full design process, went through the full everything. But just because of surrounding properties, neighboring properties, the investor didn't want to actually put in that project because of that. So we've had some, like I said, this is just one step and yeah, I mean, yes, getting people to come and invest in Roscoe and invest in the downtown area and build something new and not just sort of renovate maybe an existing building or, you know, build from scratch.
I don't-
Yeah, it's just a,
Yeah, I
First step.
brought that up is because there's just such a variety and kind of mixed mash of everything, and I think we were talking about that before. You got on one side, you have that huge strip mall over there with all the different things that butts up against it. On the east and going north, you have that other strip mall that's over there a lot smaller, but you have the businesses there. You have the nicer houses that were converted, like by the Myers Kennel and, you know, in that, but it's like, how are we gonna get all of that in to get the kind, I mean, because these are the kind of buildings that are desirable. The ones that are used as examples to be able to do it and just
and
getting to that point.
I agree. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be some time, but it's gotta start someplace. And I will note, like, this is, you know, this is the first time we've had a professional zoning administrator, trained in planning zoning at the Village of Roscoe, at least since I've been here.
Yeah.
I've been here for 15 years, I guess. This is the first time we've had somebody who's trained in planning, trained in urban planning, design, zoning. We haven't had that before, so you see the result of that is some of the mismatch, some of the mishmash, some of the, you know, different housing that you're pointing out, right? We've got that across from us here with the condos. Right on the, you know, Main Street, fronting Main Street, it's the back of somebody's house over here.
Sure.
So yeah, we've had that issue, so that's trying to do, we're
Well,
trying to get. Trying to get plans in place and we're.
I would agree.
And-
Yeah, I would agree with you that it does show it a
Yeah.
little bit,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
as to not having professional,
yeah.
you know, at least a professional plan, like.
And then
something
some of
like
it too
this.
has been, you know, whoever, at times, and part of it's just the growth of the village, right? We want to grow, but it's, you know, developer comes in and it's, yep, we'll take whatever you got, whatever you give us, we want you to build here, we want something, so we'll just take however you want it. So we've had a good board last couple, you know, rounds or last couple groups of board members and even prior to that too. You know, but looking at maybe a longer term vision. But-
That answers, I mean, that kind of helps me a little bit.
Yeah, we know, we agree probably with everything you're saying, I'm sure Jackie probably does too, and she's seen it, and it's just a matter of. Where do we start? Gotta start somewhere, and the board decided to start on Main Street, so.
Well, that's true, because if you
Yeah.
don't start somewhere, you're
Yeah.
not gonna, it's not gonna go, it's gonna just stay the way that it is, so it's worth. At least, you know, I think it's probably worth giving it a try and seeing how it's gonna work out.
And like Jackie pointed out too, it's, you know, the focus, I mean, it's designed for that whole Main Street corridor you see up there, but.
Yeah.
The initial sort of push is at those two sort of core areas there. And that is where we've got some, you know, properties, we got some properties where, you know, the owners. Seem to be willing to, you know, make some investment or at least consider. Working on something, so, yeah, no, it's a process. Absolutely.
Can I just ask one other question? Do you anticipate that, and again, I just bring this up because we had. The individual, I can't remember what his name, if I look at the minutes, I could see it, but the person who was had the business for renting the electric
Yeah.
scooters,
Yeah.
bikes and things, and he was talking about, geez, I like to invest down the road, and I think there was an empty
He
lot
was
or
working,
whatever.
yeah, working.
And trying to work it, he says, but you know, I don't wanna put up a 2-story, I don't wanna put up a 4-story, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Did you anticipate that you're gonna get a lot of maybe requests or you know, action in terms of asking to vary from the plan or to do that because people just don't want to invest that kind of money or?
I don't know, I guess I won't answer that, I think that. It's been as it is right now for some time, right, and it currently is, right, it hasn't been changed yet, right, we're talking about the
Sure.
hearing here. Those people haven't come in and purchased and built their. Smaller ones, they're, you know, they're not 2-story, they're not, you know, close setbacks, they're current ones. We have a lot of conversions, but really not a lot of new building along Main Street. So. Yes, maybe we will, but I guess the incident is we haven't had those requests under the current code to build. So I don't know that the new code's gonna stop the building, it might just, we're hoping it will spur on some different ideas. And yeah, if they come in for a variance and they say, yeah, we'd like to do this, or this hasn't quite worked for us, then we've been very willing to listen to those in the past as well.
That's.
But yeah, I guess that's the way I look at it, it's that we haven't really had the issue, we're not trying to like, we're not all of a sudden saying, okay, stop building, we want you to build in this new style and slow down.
Okay.
We're trying to get something started even, we even have that building or development to even have the variance.
Sure.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
I was just.
Yeah,
The
I know what
reason-
you're saying with him.
I was just trying to ask
Yeah.
because
You know,
is it like too stringent and it's gonna just, stifle it and just have everybody coming in, well, can't we do this and can't we do that? And then you're flooded with a lot of variances. But I can see what you're saying, if we start with that and then just
Yeah.
being open to it
Yeah.
and being able to. Jackie, if I may, Jackie, we'd be able to consider just different changes to still fit in with the plan. And just to get the spurning of that growth, and then maybe we start getting more of the bigger type.
I think absolutely. I mean, and that's one thing I think that's been really good working with Vanderwall. And I think you guys, or I don't, maybe you guys haven't seen it because you're fairly new on this, but I know we have been doing this a lot of this in the last 2 years here. But there's a lot of changes we make. The things that we see where people are coming in for those requests a lot and making the changes and asking for changes, and where the board's granting variances or granting, exceptions to our code. We've had Vanderwall come in with those proposals and say, okay, well, always get the same requests over and over again, or yeah, you're right, these people are coming in and asking, saying they can't quite comply with that. We'll look at that and they actually bring those code changes in, so. I think we've been pretty flexible about doing that and I think they're all been pretty proactive about doing that as well, where they see, parts of our code that we might want to change a little bit and tweak based on what they're seeing as part of the reviews, so.
Yeah.
And that's what you're here for, that's what ZBA is
Yeah,
here for, too.
to
So
try
if you
and-
see those or hear those or know those, I mean, yeah, bring those into us, absolutely, I mean, Melissa's been on for a while here too. I mean, we brought a lot in, just making those changes. Some of that's just make it easier for the public and easier for developers and residents and, to do what they need to do or they want to do or how to, make that vision of the village.
The ceramic shop, for
Yeah,
instance,
yeah.
that lady's struggling in selling hers because her additional space
Yeah.
cannot be rented.
Yeah.
These things complicate things for a vibrant downtown.
Yep,
How are you gonna do commercial buildings with houses above them
Yeah.
if you can't let that happen?
yeah,
So
yeah,
this is why it's gotta be
yeah.
looked at in a different way.
And it helps address, and that would, this would address something like that too.
Yeah. I mean,
How's that?
and it's an area
Yeah.
that if someone could get their investment started,
Yeah,
you could probably change out that building for
Yeah.
something like that. You're an investor for rental.
Yeah.
Are those buildings in the idea of housing over the commercial businesses? Are they in your mind's eye for sale like a condo, or would they be rentals, Jackie?
I think we could do either. The village can't actually require one or the other.
Okay.
Typically rentals tend to be more common because they're easier for developers to finance. But certainly we'd love to see condos if possible. And I don't want to speak for the board, but I would think
Yeah.
that the village would want to encourage that if that opportunity came around.
and I think some of the questions we've had, I mean, I think you've seen some of the proposals we've had in other places, I think I mean, yeah, I guess we wouldn't say, yeah, rental or not, but I think we've had a few that have come in with proposals and sort of designs, we've gone through some of the process of it, when they haven't, they've been single family homes essentially.
Yeah.
They have been, for purchasing for that owner. Where I guess I wouldn't have expected that. I'd be like, oh, this is probably designed to be a rental or somebody's gonna build this as a rental, and they're coming in with that mindset of making this, sort of a single family or a condo or townhouse style, whatever we wanna call it, but. So yeah, obviously it's, it's what the market drives right now, and I think right now the market's pretty good for the purchasing the single family or townhouses, but I suppose it just depends on the market and depends on what, how this develops and, yeah. Unfortunately, the one we're talking about, the project we're talking about by Grove Street, unfortunately fell apart with their investor, but it's a really nice plan. It was very far along, and I think it was an issue of, the actual developer, maybe how savvy they were, maybe, but, it was, yeah, there's some good ideas out there and some interesting ideas that we've seen, so. We're trying to put it in place where they can do that and where they can come in and encourage them, and maybe even, even seeing some of these designs in we've got our Main Street blueprint too. Even having that there to see what the village is looking for or what the village is thinking about and has talked about, I think may help as well. So again, it's a process, right? It's a step in the process.
Any other discussion, questions, or anything? Again, I mean, I think we've gone over it at length, with all of it. And it's helped because of number of new members that are on the board to just understand exactly what's being proposed with that.
Do we have a
So,
vote? Yeah, to move this to the vote? Did we do a motion to move this to?
I don't think so, but based on,
yeah, that's what,
That's
I
what-
mean, that's what we would have.
Yep.
So, at this point then, just so I can understand it, and Jackie, thank you again for explaining everything and taking the time. But the next step would be for us to, approve this before we send it to the board, is that,
No, you just make a motion to recommend approval of the board.
that there was some additional step that you wanted to take?
I think I had noted at a future meeting, you'd approve the map.
Yeah, the map will be next. This is to approve the.
Oh, okay, that's, well, that's,
Classification change.
okay.
So that at the next
That's what I
ZBA, there'll be a map to rezone.
I misunderstood. I thought we were approving the map first and then going that to the board. So, is there a motion to, vote on this as to whether we were gonna send it to the board or not?
There'll be a motion to recommend approval.
Yeah, recommend approval.
Okay, I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the
The plan.
The
text,
plan.
right?
Yeah, it's a to approve 20-25-021 text amendment.
There you go.
I'll second that motion.
I'm sorry, that was Smith.
Yep.
And the second one?
Spinizzola, I'll second that.
Thank you.
And if there's any further discussion.
Yeah. Is there any further discussion?
The vote,
Yeah, if we can go ahead and call the roll.
Spinizzola,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Jorgensen,
Yes.
and Butera.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick question on that though. So before we move it, like there's nobody here. I can't really tell if there's other people like. Can anybody log on to the Zoom?
Yes. Yep.
So are we supposed to put that in front of the public? Like ask if there's anyone from the public present?
There wasn't anybody in the room, right?
Yeah, there's nobody in there.
But I don't know on the Zoom.
There's nobody, I mean, there's
I
nobody
can
logged
put
in.
the thing up,
Oh.
yeah, there's nobody logged
There's
in.
nobody logged in.
Yeah,
Okay.
And this is the public hearing.
Yeah.
This, and anyone can ask to log in. Yeah.
Okay.
and we had a public open house, I don't know when the open house was, I mean, that wasn't a formal public hearing, but that open house we definitely had more discussion and more public attend, as part of that as well. But, I was trying, I can see on mine, but I can show you verifying like this.
I will make one comment. There was a finding in the application in the minutes, and just want to make sure everybody saw that there was a staff recommended suggested finding. Everybody saw that and agreed with it.
Yes.
Yep, yes, everybody did. Okay,
Mhm.
just note that for the record that all present saw the finding and agree with it. Thank you.
Okay, and I think as far as new business, that would be at the old business, so, Mr. Kalinkas, did you want to explain again, maybe? Situation for the virtual training? and how we
Just a
go about that
reminder.
for a second.
We'll put it up here on mine. Reminder for the training, so we talked about this before, and I think we emailed it, and it's in the packet, the information about it, but the American Planning Association, Illinois chapter of that is having a, plan commissioner or ZBA member training session on October 29th from 7 to 9 p.m. It's designed to train you how to be a CPA member, give you sort of some background. It'll give you some background about what zoning is, what planning is, what things we're looking at. Just, it's a good training course for, what is, what's your role here? And then just to know what some of the stuff is. And we've been trying to have, we will continue to try to have either Hillary or Jackie explain some of the different things we're doing when we get to those special uses or variances or some amendments. But this will give you maybe a little more of an overall view, background of what zoning entails and what some of these terms we use are, the processes we're looking at, finding of facts, and I mentioned there, different, different findings, different, standards to look at. So, but yeah, that is taking place on October 29th, at 7 to 9 p.m. If you are interested in doing that, if you want to just shoot an email, I think you said you did, to probably, I would try just me, I guess, joseph@roscoeil.gov, or directly to Janelle, which is jreitinger@roscoeil.gov. Sign up for one of us or reply to one of the emails. So it sounds like I think I didn't get your forward, so I'm curious about that too.
Yeah.
It showed undelivered just now.
Yeah, so if you want to just shoot it to me directly, or give us a call and we'll get you registered for it. Is
Is it online?
it's online, yep,
Okay.
it's a Zoom meeting it's Zoom meeting that night. We'll send you the invite for that once you get registered. We'll make sure you use your emails for those. And yeah, I think it should be.
Yeah, I would advocate for it. Over the years, I've occasionally attended one
Yeah.
or more, and it gives ZBA members a perspective.
And what's nice about this, I was thinking this too, what's nice about this is it's virtual, but it's not like a lecture just to you. It's gonna be it's interactive, so it's like they're doing the training. If you have questions about, things you've seen in Roscoe, or how, the process, or what the, procedures, or questions about what they're talking about, you'll be able to have the feedback with them. So it's not just like one of those, online, here's a video, or here's a presenter presenting to the ether and maybe some questions at the end. So yeah, it's a pretty good seminar that way.
With that said, there is no further public comment. Asking a question about the Zoom, other people were on that, so, and we don't have any further questions, so. Is there a motion for adjournment?
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. I think we'll go ahead and call the roll. Sorry.
You can do that as in all those in favor.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No?
Thank you.
Okay. Adjourned.
All right.